show up powerfully. This hybrid online community offers monthly webinars, meetups, and coaching sessions so that you have access to replenish online. Whether you are seeking something as an individual to relieve your stress or as an organization, a way to resolve team issues and recharge your staff, Replenish Me membership offers it all. Empower yourself today. To find out more about Replenish Me membership, go to bit.ly/Replenish Me membership. And now for the Free to Be show. Hello, and welcome to the live version of the Free to Be show. As you know, I've recently started doing these shows live as well as pre-recorded, and it's just an opportunity for you better to get acquainted with my guest real time and ask lots of really interesting questions. So today, I'm so excited to share with you someone who we really need right now in this world, especially in 2020, as we come to the realization that diversity, equity, belonging, and inclusion is super important, and not just to the workplace, but to living in general. And I'm so honored to know Zakiya Mabery, who is a 15-year expert in the field, and she's rolled out a couple of books this fall. So we'll talk about that and dive into it a little bit. On the Free to Be show, we like to know what it is that people had to free themselves from in order to show up powerfully in the world as they do now, and to share their gift. So let's just start with that. If that's not too heavy, well.
First, I want to say, Cordelia, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's a complete honor, and I believe what you're doing is so impactful. Right now, in 2020, we have had such tremendous, difficult times, and talking about what people are free from, what they let go of, is very important as we prepare to go into 2021. So a couple of things that I had to free myself from is fear. I've had a lot of adversity occur in my life. And so that caused me to be afraid of a lot of different things. And I also took me a long time to articulate that I was afraid, because in my household, my father and my mother instilled in me that I wasn't supposed to say, I'm afraid. You're not supposed to be afraid of anything. But the truth is, because of some of the challenges and setbacks, I was afraid to try again. Sometimes I was afraid to get out of bed because of my anxiety. I was afraid to be myself, most importantly, because in some of the organizations in which I have worked, I did not know how showing up 100% Zakiya, how it would be taken. So, all right, now I'm happy to be here and be my authentic self, showing up and taking care of myself. I also want to tell your viewers that when you listen to our recording that we did a while ago, they'll hear a difference in my voice. I was stuttering a lot due to a medical condition, but I've been working very, very hard on improving how I speak, and I'm working with a speech pathologist. And so oftentimes when we have to peel back the layers, we see things that we need to improve. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely, my pleasure. And I love what you said you had to free yourself from, because I'm guessing, and for those of you who are watching and listening, please put that in the chat for us. I'm guessing you're not alone in being told that you shouldn't be afraid of anything, and that, even so you had that fear, it was really hard for you to have the courage to show up 100% like at work, because you're worried about the way you'll be received. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that with us, that part of your story. So what changed?
I think what really changed was not feeling a need to assimilate anymore, is that I no longer work directly for an organization. And I've been doing a lot of self work over the last 2 years. I've been working on myself. And when I've been working with coaches, my therapist, I'm not afraid to say that I see a therapist.
And
We're
thank you for that. I just want to let's just give
working,
some space to that comment.
okay.
Yeah, let's give some space to that comment because many women, and it doesn't seem to matter what color you are, have a problem with admitting that they need therapy.
Mhm.
It's perfectly fine to have a therapist and a coach. Sometimes it's like that. So,
Absolutely. And it's been very rewarding for me. I've been told that some people say that they're recovering perfectionists. Well, I did not realize that, but I've always felt the need that what I learned, I think, in at Virginia State, something called the Black tax. Like, because I'm a Black woman, I have to do extra to make sure I shine and that I'm um, excelling in whatever area that I'm working. So, being right now, I'm a Black woman, as I've mentioned multiple times before. I'm also have multiple disabilities, so I call it the triple threat, right? But people shouldn't be afraid of me. But I do know that people are uncomfortable with things that they're unfamiliar with. So what I have to do is start re-examining myself, how to do the self-work, and working very hard on practicing mindfulness, meditating, spending more time with myself, to I therefore then knew how what I need to improve on. And during the course of that, I decided that, you know what, there's nothing really wrong with me. And my thought process is, it's wrong with somebody else if they don't want to include me because they have blinders on. And
mm,
so once I began to realize that, I just it's almost like a young person, a teenager, when they're finally coming into who they are. Well, I'm not a teenager. And it's a stretch of imagination, but I'm finally just feeling more comfortable in my own skin, if that makes any sense. I'm very flawed. I've gone through a lot of things, but I'm so happy that my outer doesn't reflect what my inside and what I've gone through. And so I just like to put that message forward and work with other people who have positive, high energy, because you can sense someone's energy. And so
yeah.
I try to surround myself with people who are positive. And I also start purging, deleting people from my life, to include family, who did not have positive vibes or did not seem to want the best for Zakiya. And I've heard the saying that, we're in competition. No, the only person I'm in competition with is Zakiya Ani Mabery.
Thank you for saying that. And it looks like we have a few ladies here. I just want to say hello to them. Salam alaikum, Ola. She says, "You're not alone for sure. Last week, I've been having panic attacks and anxiety from
Mm,
fear of responsibility and representation."
yes.
So she's in the same boat.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing that. And yes, I've had anxiety attacks within the last month, but I just try to, in the midst of it, start using what my therapist says: use your tools, Zakiya, use your tools, and use my tools. And when I get on the other side of it, when I'm more clear-headed, I start to examine, okay, what triggered me? And so this is another recommendation that I have for all of you. Start writing down when you're having a
Mm.
panic or anxiety attack or going through a episode of depression. Write down what you believe the triggers are. Why say do that? Because then we can learn how to navigate through it. So if I know that my trigger is speaking to someone who is yelling at me, I know that in the midst of them yelling at me, I need to process my thoughts. I actually start speaking a little lighter. And when my tone is lower, I'm not getting as anxious, because there's physical symptoms you feel when you're about to have anxiety or a panic attack. And so it's very important to start taking notice. If you feel your skin getting hot or you're having heart palpitations, then that's when you know you might need to excuse yourself from the conversation.
I like that. And especially because in my work, a lot of times that's like the first question, where do you feel that in your body?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's true that many women are disconnected from their bodies, so they don't even know where they're feeling it. But definitely the more pronounced things like sweaty palms, heart palpitations, you know that. You can feel that
Yes,
in your body. And I want to say also hello to beautiful Lillian joining us from Switzerland. She said it's very true to clean up what energy is around you.
absolutely. And hello, all the way in Switzerland, beautiful area. Um, oh, hey,
And
Sheila.
hello,
That's my
Sheila.
sister
Looks
Sheila.
like one of
Nice to see you. Um, and so I think that is very important. Also, a tip that's been helping me. You're talking about some things that's been helping me is having a gratitude journal. And I
mm,
write each day in the evening before I go to bed in my gratitude journal three things that I'm thankful for that day. And it helps me realize that all the things that may be going on, I may be having a lot of medical issues or things financially might not be the best all the time, but there are some things to still smile about and be grateful for. So it helps retrain your brain to start focus on the positivity, see the glass half full versus half empty.
I love that. I love that. It's like you're every single day, you're celebrating, basically,
Yes.
right?
Yes, that is it. Yes, every day celebrating because even the small victory is a victory, right?
And why put the adjective in front anyway, right?
Right. Very good point. Yes.
It it is, it is. So, that's really great. So now, you've taken your experiences and your struggles, and
Mhm.
you're showing up powerfully with this gift in the world. And yes, you've condensed it into a book, but you're also like a voice and a trainer for what are we supposed to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion in our organizations. But I want to, before we dive more into that, can you just define what is intersectionality? Because a lot of people may not know what that is.
Thank you for asking that question. Intersectionality is talking about marginalized demographics of diversity for that have historically been discriminated against or oppressed. For example, women, um, certain geographical locations. And so that's like multiple layers of one person can have all those different things. There could be a veteran who is from India and also has multiple disabilities or has a disability. So that's a marginalized group. And that's talking about the intersectionality of that individual because we don't know potentially if they're being discriminated against. Is it because that person is a woman? Is it because she is from, let's say, I just said India, or is it because she's a veteran? We're not quite sure. So it's all about the intersectionality of an individual. And this was
Okay.
coined by Kimber Crenshaw. And so if you will ever research her, you will see very impressive work that she has done over discussing intersectionality.
All right. So now, like in organizations, what I guess the answer I want to find is like, how do we change the policies so that we are actually overcoming this obstacle of I guess where I'm coming from. Let me just give you some background, and that's why I'm like trying to think about it in the minute. So I know that there's a matrix when people are hiring. Okay, the matrix is based on like what school they went to, and then the grade point average, and then and then it even gets more granular, talking about how many women we have to hire to reach a quota, how many Black people, or whatever. So, like, how do we integrate that into the policies,
Well, first, you have to have a leader at the top who believes in having a more inclusive organizational culture. It all starts at the top. And so once you get the buy in from the senior individual of the organization, they need to work with various stakeholders in the organization, HR, finance, is IG if you're in the military, inspector general, all these different various stakeholders to come together to develop a strategic plan and see how you're going to change the culture gradually, because change takes time. And so once you start meeting those milestones, you celebrate it. You also have to communicate with the workforce and have make sure you get buy-in from them and have engagement. So it's a slow process, and it is something that you should be having maybe quarterly meetings to check on your progress and also post the metrics. When individuals come to me and ask me, Zakiya, what organizations do you think I should work for because I'm part of the LGBTQ community and I want to go somewhere where I can feel like I can belong? What I recommend to them they do is to look online and see what some of the data indicates. What organizations are actually putting their data online so that you can see who's being transparent, in other words. And then also do some informal interviews. LinkedIn is one of my best friends. And you can go on LinkedIn and you just inbox someone and say, tell me what your experience is. Or can we have a virtual talk online and talk to them and see like what was your personal, your lived experience working for this organization? Because a lot of organizations might have these fancy mission statements and vision statements. The question is, are they really walking the walk? Do the people in their organization actually feel like they belong? They might be hiring individuals with disabilities and veterans. However, when the veteran or the individual with disability actually gets into the organization, do they feel lost? Do they feel like they're being discriminated against? Or do they feel like they belong and have the tools to be successful? Because you may bring someone in, but let's also start looking at your retention numbers. What do they look like? Are you doing exit surveys? Because exit surveys, they carry a lot of weight. You get to see why the person is actually leaving your organization. And I also would recommend there's a lot of consultants that are on this live. I hope that you're listening. When you're doing, and leaders who work for change management organizations, Lockheed Martin, Booz Allen, Deloitte, any of these organizations, when someone is leaving a project early, perhaps you should do an interview with them to find out the reasons why they decided to leave the project. There might be some bias or stereotyping going on, the reason why they decided to leave. So it would take an individual, a leader, someone who has the power to change. They have to actually listen with your ears to what is being said, go around and ask impactful questions, and then start putting together a plan to change.
Wow. And let me catch up some of these comments. Welcome, Yolanda. And I'm just going to show, Sheila said, I love and appreciate the work you do, Zakiya. Many thanks to you, to Cordelia, for bringing these topics to light.
Thank you, Sheila.
Absolutely. And Yolanda said,
Hey, Yolanda, Dr. J.
Thank you for joining us, Yolanda, and for your comments. She makes others feel they can do anything, even with disabilities.
Yes, thank you.
And welcome, Sylvia. Wonderful information.
Thank you. I'm so glad I have my sister's support up here. I must give a plug for this Women on Fire conference. I'm an ambassador for that. And a lot of the individuals that you just read their comments, they are my fellow sister ambassadors. And the Women on Fire conference is going to be a great celebration, and people, thought leaders from across the globe. And one thing I appreciate about being an ambassador is the group is just so empowering. Anytime someone says something in our internal group that they're struggling with, the energy that comes back to them is not anything like I have felt in a very long time. So that's also the reason why I'm feeling better and smiling after my hospital stint last month. I am with a group of people who are really inspiring me and making me feel better.
That's so powerful. And I'm guessing that Carlika is part of that, because I know her.
She is.
Beautiful woman that she is. And I want to give a shout out to Carlika also, because she is one of the, she wrote a little bit, and I highlighted her in my book that's coming out, Detached Love. Yeah, so she's in chapter, don't get me to lie, but it's in one of the chapters. She shares a little bit of her story. Oh, thank you, Yolanda. And for those of you who want more from Zakiya, you can register for the Woman on Fire conference by going to womanonfire conference.com, and that'll be January 1st through 3rd.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that'll be definitely powerful just from the people that I'm seeing. I Hey, Carlika, just for the people that I'm seeing who are going to be involved in that, and also that entire tribe. I know some of the women from different events that I've attended with you. So,
Yes, they're very wonderful, dynamic group. And then after the Women on Fire, on January 8th, I'm having my next masterclass.
okay.
Uh, of course, you and I have been connected, so you're aware that I've had, fortunately, a lot of media um, this year, even during the pandemic. And so, since I've been on several media outlets in 2020, I believe that it's my duty to give back, and I'm teaching other people how to make sure their story is shared on the national and local level by being on news and using publications to get their message out there, because all of us have endured something in our life, challenging times. But I think it's even more impactful when you're gone on the other side to tell people how you navigated that situation. That is so critical. And so people need to hear your voice. They need to hear what you went through and the steps you did to get over the situation. And so I have a masterclass where we're going to walk through some of the things I used in my career and personal life to make sure that I have a engaging network.
Okay, and I will definitely be posting that underneath. This is on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So I'll get that link from you so the people that watch the replay, they can sign up for your masterclass because that's super important. And I like what you said too, because it's one thing to go through the hard times and overcome your fear and be courageous. But then, to shorten that gap and that struggle for someone
Mhm.
else is so very powerful. So, I thank you for that. And I'm glad that you're doing these. Is it monthly master classes that you do?
Yes,
I feel
now
like
in
it's monthly.
2021, it's going to be monthly. Absolutely. Praying that I don't have any more health
Okay.
challenges. As you know, I had to cut my game changer chat on LinkedIn Live short this year because I had to make sure I can speak. Before, praise be to God, I was not speaking this clearly last month this time, or the month before. So I am just thankful to God with the health care that I am being able to actually speak clearly and you can understand what I'm saying. So yes, I'll be having more game changer chat, and I always need more professionals to come on and talk about what it is they're doing to change the game.
Thank you. And you make me think of another one of my guests that I had earlier in the year. And he actually, I think that's his name. He has an event called the Game Changer event or something. So I'll connect you two. That'll be nice.
That would be nice.
Yeah. So I like when I saw that, I was like, do they know each other? And then I realized I was like, what? It's just like when, God gives that download, you
Hmm.
know, it's like sometimes they're just, people that are aligned and they don't even know it. So
Right.
I'll be
So
happy
please,
to
I
connect
will.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I want to also, mention about the change in your speech and your self-care journey, if we can just give a couple of minutes to that, because I don't know if you're probably aware. I'm just going to assume you're aware that the American Mental Health Association this year drew the connection between um, diversity, equity, and inclusion struggles for people of color
Hmm.
and mental health problems.
Hmm. Hmm.
And from my perspective, my way of dealing with those challenges on my own were through self nurturing, right?
Hmm.
And so for you, let's talk about how you have been nurturing yourself as you're becoming more of a voice.
I'm nurturing myself by taking time, intentional time away and stepping away from social media, talking on the phone, especially on the weekends. I make sure that I'm deliberate on having downtime. Also, in the morning, I take time to meditate. I started meditating and practicing mindfulness. I'm a beach person. I'm a Cancer, so I love the water, and I have not been on a beach vacation in about 18 months, and it's like driving me crazy because that's what I do to recharge is hearing the waves. I have my app and I turn on the ocean sounds in the background, and I literally sit there. I'm gonna show you guys and just I'm just taking it all in and visualizing myself maybe in the DR or somewhere with beautiful blue water. And that really helps me recenter, and I try to focus on my thoughts that are coming in. And if there are negative thoughts, push them away. Pack them in a suitcase, so to speak. So I'm really stepping away and just focusing on Zakiya. And as I mentioned, secondly, taking time for myself. Unless it's an emergency, I won't take the call some weekends. I'm just away from my phone. It's not something that I'm going to engage in. And Andrew and I will do something even during COVID, a simple date, go on a hike, have a picnic in the park, something where we're disconnecting from the world and just spending time together and recharging both of our batteries.
I love that. And we have something else in common. I had no idea. I I'm a Cancer too.
Hey, that's like so fun and full energy. I love it. Do
Surprise,
you love the
surprise.
beach too?
I do love the beach, and oh
Yes.
my god, I miss the DR and
Yes.
Barbados and Bali and all the
Yo,
places.
I haven't been to Bali. I can't wait to go to Bali because I want to do a photo shoot on one of those swings, the natural swings. Oh, can't wait.
Yeah. All right, well, it's a date. We're going to Bali.
Okay, I'm down. I love to try. My passport is always current.
Mine too, okay? So look, all right, sidebar. So we all need to go to the beach in our mind and, really take some time for self-care. There's so many things that have been going on this year, and the other side of diversity, equity, belonging, and inclusion is to include time for yourself, to step away from the fray. It's so important to uplift your mental health care, your emotional wellness, so that you can be present and centered and find moments in joy because no matter what's going on, in the world, and no matter what people want to project, you were talking about that earlier in our conversation. No matter what people want to project onto you from their own fear and
Mm-hmm.
ugliness in their heart,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you have love and peace and you're centered, they can't help but be affected by that. You will radiate love and peace, and they're going to, it would take a exceptionally miserable individual to aggress upon you when you're in that state. So I appreciate everything that you shared with us today. And for those of you who may just be tuning in at the end here, this is the live version of the Free to Be show. I've had the pleasure of speaking with the Zakiya Mabery today, who is a champion for diversity, equity, and inclusion, specifically with the intersectionality of disability. And she calls herself the triple threat because she's a beautiful, gorgeous Black woman, and she has multiple disabilities, and she's showing up powerfully and courageously to be a voice for others, and even showing organizations how to change their policies. Please close us out with like the golden nugget of everything we've talked about.
Well, I would also just like to say, Cordelia, thank you so much for participating in my documentary/book interviews. I also notice a common theme as I've interviewed people from across the globe that people simply just want to be heard. I'm going to repeat that. People simply want to be heard. So, for leaders and organizations, entrepreneurs, no matter what type of field you work in, career field, people oftentimes feel misunderstood and that they're not heard. And so that was a common theme. And I just want to say that 2020 has been a tumultuous year. We've gone through so many difficult times. We've lost friends and family. But I want you to know that 2020 was just your setup year. Your next level assignment is in 2021. So be excited, have a smile on your face, because it doesn't matter what happens in 2020, you can achieve all your desires in 2021. You just have to make a plan and stick with it. Use your resources, be around positive tribe. That means people in your group who you know are there for you, and you can achieve all your things. Let's not forget about the lessons learned in 2020, but let's be very intentional about what our purpose is for 2021. You are here to inspire and empower other people. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Please go to the Thrive Class by going to www.thethriveclass.com, and also get my book, The Complete Guide to Diversity and Inclusion in the Age of COVID. You can find it on Amazon and on my website, beglobaldiversity.com. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. And for those of you who are watching on the replay, please connect with her on her website, beglobaldiversity.com, and get a copy of her book. Thank you, and have an amazing day, evening, wherever you are in the world. Beginning this December, I want to offer you an opportunity to be part of something bigger and to celebrate love again, replenish, and give back. With every copy of my book, Detached Love, I give back to a local nonprofit organization. This book it's more than just another book, it's a new approach to life. It allows you to replenish and love and detachment. Get your copy today at bit.ly/detached love.